What is up, everybody? In today's video, we'll be talking about extremely above average temperatures that is going to encompass basically in the entire U.S. and a extreme amount of severe weather that's coming into all the central and eastern U.S. Let's get right into today's video. Now, the first thing we are going to be talking about is this enhanced risk of severe weather that we do have in effect for basically Nebraska and Minnesota here with a doubleheader severe weather risk with an enhanced risk. The first enhanced risk is encompassing portions of central Nebraska, including North Platte and Grand Island, Lexington, Kearney, and Broken Bow, all in Nebraska. So if you are in these areas, you do need to be prepared for a severe weather threat. And then another enhanced risk encompassing literal Minneapolis and St. Paul. Twin Cities are under this enhanced risk of severe weather, so a very big city and a big population area under this enhanced risk of severe weather that we are already expecting severe weather to start later into the afternoon, into the early evening hours tonight, with St. Cloud, Twin Cities, Mankato, Brooklyn Park, Wilmar, and Marshall all in the severe weather threat. Now, the slight risk does encompass Eau Claire, Rapid City, all the way up to Billings, Montana, all the way down to Colby in Kansas areas and Hays, Kansas, all under the severe weather risk. Also, Omaha and Lincoln are in Sioux City and Sioux Falls are all under this severe weather threat. And we also do have an isolated chance of tornadoes. Now, the tornado threat is not too significant here, but it is definitely there. We do have a 2% tornado risk that does encompass Billings, Casper, North Platte, all the way up to Grand Island, Sioux Falls, and Eau Claire and Duluth areas. Now, the 2% tornado risk in the green does not mean we're going to see tornadoes in everywhere in that area. It means a tornado too possible. Now, there's a little bit of higher probabilities here in the St. Paul and the Twin Cities, Minneapolis areas, and St. Cloud, Mankato areas, in portions of central and northern Minnesota and southern Minnesota regions, and the 5% brown area, which does mean we could see a few tornadoes possible in that risk area. So definitely be weather aware if you are in the green and especially the brown areas today. Now, this is not some huge tornado risk, but it definitely is possible that we do see isolated tornadoes with this area, so you do need to be weather aware. Now, the wind risk is a 30% chance. The wind risk is a little bit lower for portions of Minneapolis and St. Cloud, but the highest wind risk is for the enhanced risk in North Platte and Grand Island and Kearney and Broken Bow and Lexington. So if you are in these areas, in the hatched areas, you could be seeing upwards of 75 miles an hour gusts and more. And the hail probabilities is a 30% too, with a 30% significant risk of hail across Thetford, Stapleton, Broken Bow. Anywhere in that black hatched region means we could see significant hail, upwards of 2 inch in diameter or more in that region. So Sioux City, be weather aware, and then the 30% risk of hail also encompassing Minneapolis and St. Cloud, and a significant risk of hail for Grand Rapids, Farm Island, Putut Lakes, and Little Falls areas. All need to be really weather aware for this risk of severe weather for today. Now, tomorrow, the severe weather risk shifts a little bit further south with one enhanced risk across Dodge City, Wichita, Topeka, and right on the border between that and Kansas City, including Salina, Hays, Russell, all under this risk, and Emporia. And then the slight risk encompassing portions of Cheyenne, Colby, Goodland, Joplin's all under this, Springfield, Columbia is in this, Kirksville, Des Moines is all in the severe weather threat that you do need to be weather aware for today or tomorrow on the 17th of June, with the tornado risk being the same thing as today. A few tornadoes could be possible, especially in Wichita. I do think the tornado threat could be a little higher tomorrow than it is today. So definitely be weather aware in Dodge City, Wichita, Topeka, into Manhattan. If you're in Salina, Hays, all need to be really weather aware for a few tornadoes possible tomorrow with a tornado threat in effect. Now, the wind probabilities are a 30% significant chance of wind, including Dodge City, Manhattan, Topeka, Wichita, Hays, Russell, and Salina. In the highest chance of wind, with 75 miles an hour winds possible in this region, and a 30% significant risk of hail upwards of 2 inch in diameter or even more than that in Dodge City, Wichita, Salina, Hays, Russell, and Garden City, all in portions of Kansas that you do need to be weather aware for this significant severe weather risk that we are going to have in those regions. Now, for day 3, this severe weather risk does shift a lot further south, with the main areas encompassing Oklahoma City, Tulsa, Springfield, Columbia, Jefferson City, St. Louis, Missouri is under this, Cape Girardeau, Evansville, Indianapolis, Peoria, Bloomington, Chicago, Springfield, Illinois, and Missouri. Milwaukee's under this, and all the way up to Detroit and Grand Rapids. So this is a huge severe weather risk area. With my thinking is the highest risk area will be in these regions right here, or more like basically this region right here, where I do think the highest severe weather probabilities will be. But you do need to be weather aware in all these regions, as I do think we could have a isolated tornado threat set up as a low level jet is going to be cranking out there, which is pretty rare for June time. And we could also see wind damage and a hail risk across these areas. So definitely be weather aware in Oklahoma City, all the way Oklahoma, Arkansas, Kansas, Missouri, into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Michigan, into portions of Wisconsin and Kentucky regions. Now for day 4, we have this slight risk of severe weather that does kind of push a little bit over to the east. With this slight risk of severe weather, we could be seeing definitely wind and hail damage. I do not think the tornado threat is going to be as high as it's going to be the days from now to day 3, but I do think day 4 could have maybe an isolated tornado or 2 possible, but the main threats being wind damage and hail, with this area encompassing Charlotte, Roanoke, Richmond, Washington, D.C. is all under this. Philadelphia's in this risk, and really close to New York City, but not fully in New York City. Trenton, New Brunswick, Atlantic City's all under this. Greensboro, Raleigh, Roanoke, Richmond. So all those areas they need to be weather aware for a severe weather threat. In North Carolina, Virginia, West Virginia, into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Maryland regions for significant severe weather that could be possible in this slight risk of severe weather zone. And we'll get more details on what this severe weather threat could bring to it and how significant it will be in the future in the upcoming days or so. Now this is the best zoom on weather bureau that it could get, but since we are close enough to this risk, if we do look at the timing for the main severe weather risk for today, we could see some big storms start to head in around the 5 p.m. time frame in northern portions of Minnesota here that could boast some massive hail up there. Then the timing for the Twin Cities does look to be around the 6 to 9 p.m. time frame is where you need to be at most weather aware for severe weather in those areas. Maybe more like 5 to 8 p.m. across the Twin Cities regions, as we could see some big supercellular thunderstorms form on the southern side of Minnesota and northern portions of Iowa. And then the second risk area does include portions of central Nebraska here, where we could see a big cluster of wind and hail damage with a little bit of a lower tornado threat, with the highest tornado threat being in Minnesota. But those storms do expect to form around the 7 to 9 p.m. time frame and bring some significant severe weather risk for portions of central Nebraska around 8 to basically midnight hours, all the way in portions of central Nebraska here that you need to be weather aware for. Now, also, with the temperatures across a lot of the U.S., we are going to see some really above average temperatures across portions of the eastern, central, and midwestern parts of the U.S., with extremely above average temperatures in the red to deep red to even almost dark red areas across portions of the central and eastern U.S., all the way from Oklahoma all the way over to Maine, with a big-time area of heat. Basically, this doesn't mean that you're going to see, insanely heat temperatures. This all means that it's summertime right now. So if your average high temperature in Ohio, say, since they're in the highest risk of above average temperatures, if the average temperature is 80 degrees, it would be more like 95 degrees or something really hot out there, meaning it would be more like 15 degrees above the normal temperature that it is. That's what that means. Now, we're also going to see a lot of cooler temperatures across portions of the western U.S., with very below average temperatures across Salt Lake City, Las Vegas, and the Idaho and Montana areas. So anywhere in the east, in the western U.S., from California all the way over to Washington, into Montana, Wyoming, Utah, Arizona, into Colorado, is looking at more below average temperatures and cool temperatures. Now, this does not mean it's going to be cold. It doesn't mean winter temperatures. It just means if say your average high is 70, it's going to feel more like 60 out there. Say more like 55 or something if that's your average temperature in portions of the western U.S. Alright, I hope everybody did enjoy today's video. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more updates on the severe weather, and turn on notifications so you are updated when the next severe weather is striking, and so you are weather aware across the U.S., as the U.S. always brings crazy weather. Hope you guys enjoy this video. We are going to see a lot of severe weather over the next few days or so, an increase in temperatures across the eastern U.S. Hope you guys did like today's video, and bye everybody.